What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss everything going on here in our country that you need to know about here on a daily basis, including money, investing, the stock market, retirement, Social Security, the fourth stimulus package update. We cover it all here on our YouTube channel. So if you haven't subscribed yet to our YouTube channel, make sure to click the subscribe button down below. It's completely free to do so. This way you won't miss out on new videos that come out here every day. I will keep you up to date here with everything. Also, if you haven't yet, make sure to click the like button also for us down below. Really helps out our YouTube channel. In this video, we're going to talk about the $2,400 Social Security raise that Senator Bernie Sanders, as you can see here from Business Insider, Senator Bernie Sanders, Senator Elizabeth Warren, and Democrats want to pay retirees an additional $2,400 in their Social Security checks by raising taxes on the richest Americans. This actually was advocated by President Joe Biden on the campaign trail. And this is now in an official bill led by Senator Bernie Sanders. And he actually just did a couple debates with Republican Senator Lindsey Graham, who is on the kind of the budget team here from the Senate. I'll give you a look here at it. I've also covered some other snippets here before from both Senator Bernie Sanders and Republican Senator Lindsey Graham here in previous videos, giving you both their sides of the pie. And you'll hear Lindsey Graham here say that the problem here is that they need to come to the sides, Republicans and Democrats, they need to come together to figure something out because one, the solvency issue, which is still quite a ways away, 13 to 14 years away, is when Social Security is, well, when they say insolvent, it does not mean Social Security is going to run out of money. It just means that they're not going to be able to pay 100% of the benefits. I think it goes down to 80% of the benefits. And that's actually been pushed out because the government is actually taking in more money now than ever. Okay. Because unemployment is low right now at a historic low, 3.6%. The 50-year low is 3.5%. The Congressional Budget Office says that the federal government's actually going to be able to pay down the federal deficit by $1.5 trillion or more over the next coming year. So, and all these states are bringing in historic budget surpluses as well. For example, California has about a $97 billion budget surplus. And at this point, pretty much every state has at least around $1 billion. The bigger states have a multi-billion dollars of budget surpluses because a lot of people have gone back to work and there's more revenue coming in, more sales tax coming in, more tax revenue coming in, more revenue just coming in all around. So that also means more Social Security revenue coming in, at least in relation to past years, at least in relation to past years. But here's kind of what Bernie Sanders and Lindsey Graham have to say. Now, remember, Democrats, Bernie Sanders, and even Joe Biden, President Biden, want to raise Social Security benefits by $2,400 per year for all Social Security beneficiaries. And this includes people under the Social Security umbrella: SSI, SSDI, VA, RRB, survivors, everybody underneath the Social Security umbrella. And the way they want to do this is by taxing wealthy Americans who make over, depends on, there's been a couple different proposals here, over $250,000 or $400,000. So what you'll hear Bernie Sanders say here is that, is it fair for people who make $1 million a year, $10 million a year, millions and millions of dollars a year, to only pay in a tiny amount of Social Security taxes? Because what happens is they stop paying into Social Security at around $147,000 a year. That's when Social Security payroll taxes stop, and they don't pay. You can make $10 million and not pay into Social Security for any income past 147,000. So basically 99% of your income is not going to be taxed on Social Security for those large income earners. Okay. And Social Security actually did a study on Bernie Sanders and the Democrats' proposal, and that it would extend the solvency of Social Security by 75 years. And they could pay out that extra $2,400 a year by imposing that extra tax and a couple tweaks on the system with their proposal, and pay out that extra $2,400 a year. And Social Security actually did the math and did the calculations on this and said, yeah, it's correct. The problem is getting Republicans to also vote on it, or whatever happens after the midterm elections. We'll have to see who's in control of Congress, if Democrats can pass that on their own, or if Republicans are in control, or whatnot. But here's kind of a little bit of the most recent debate. Check this out. Let me know your thoughts.
Let's do something like Ted Kennedy would do. Get Republicans and Democrats to find a way, like the Gang of Six, the Simpson-Bowles plan. Senator Sanders, bring your Social Security plan to the floor. Okay. All it does is raise taxes. To get out of this mess, people like me are going to have to take a little less and pay a little more in. We're going to have to adjust the age one more time, like Ronald Reagan and Tip O'Neill did. There is a bipartisan way forward. But you describe problems, but your answer is always the government. It's always socialism.
Social Security is a government program. I'm sorry about it.
Senator Sanders, your Medicare for All program eliminates private sector health care. It's a $40 trillion revenue increase. It will cost more to maintain Medicare for All than the entire federal government today. There has to be some sense of responsibility here. You just can't tax people into oblivion and turn every problem over to the government.
Okay, let's respond. And I'm glad it's a good discussion. Thank you, Brett. Okay, Social Security. And again, we had, Lindsay and I are on the Budget Committee, had a hearing on it. What you forgot to tell people, Lindsay, you're right. Social Security has a solvency issue. What the actuaries say, we want 75 years of funding coming into Social Security to maintain for 75 years. What I advocated does that.
Let's vote.
Because it is let's vote on it.
Let's
fine,
vote
I'm for voting on it.
Let's
ask the American people whether they think it makes sense that somebody who makes $1 million a year or $10 million a year or $100 million a year pays the same amount into Social Security. Somebody makes $147,000.
Let's vote on it.
Let's ask them. You know what? The polling has already given us the answer. They think it is.
Why aren't we voting on it?
The thing is that they only need 10 Republican votes in the Senate to pass something. They don't need any Republican votes in the House. So is it really that big of a thing for something that the Social Security Administration has done the math on and basically, certified? I don't know the word you're looking for here, but it's certified that yes, it's correct. The budgets, projections, because you never really know what's going to happen in the future, right? So the Social Security Administration has said, yes, this looks correct. We've done the projections, 75 years, we think that this is correct. Now, whether it comes out to being 80 or 70 or 65, whatever, it extends the solvency and makes it able to pay out more benefits to people and charges an extra, payroll tax to people who make over $250,000 or $400,000 in taxes or in income. They have to pay into the Social Security system. I mean, you let me know your thoughts on that. Is that a good plan or is that a bad plan? But Lindsey Graham, he doesn't want to vote for that. And the problem is, because if it's a Democrat proposition, that's a Democrat plan, Republicans don't want to vote for it. If it was a Republican plan, Democrats wouldn't want to vote for it. That's kind of a lot of what our system has come to nowadays. Yeah, so now you let me know your thoughts. But as we go closer to the midterms, people are going to get people that are their seats are up for re-election. There's a third of senators up for re-election. Remember, senators serve 6-year terms. So people that are up for re-election, they're going to feel pressure to vote or get voted out or House of Representatives as well, they're all up for reelection. They're all up for reelection because they only serve 2-year terms. Okay, so they're gonna be pressured. Okay, do something, show us action, show us what you were put in there for, or potentially you might get voted out. And the problem here is we're dealing with record high inflation right now, 40-year high inflation. This is reflected in gas prices. This is reflected in food prices. This is reflected in the price of everything. What has not gone up in prices? Look at the price of cars. Look at the price of rent. Look at the price of home prices. Look at the price of interest now. Interest rates going up sky high. We had a single interest rate hike, a double interest rate hike, and then a triple interest rate hike, 0.75 interest rate hike last time in June. And now we're looking at another triple interest rate hike probably going to happen in July. The Fed's saying it's probably going to be either a 0.50 interest rate hike or a 0.75 interest rate hike in July. Probably going to be another 0.75 interest rate hike in July. So if you look at that between June and July over the span of 60 days or less, really less than 60 days because it wasn't, from June 1st to July 31st, we're looking at interest rates going up 1.5% in less than 2 months. And that's really, I know, see, the thing is you Feds around the world, central banks around the world, not just the US. If anything, I think a lot of our viewers here have learned that this inflation is not just in the US. Not that really, if anything, we've all just kind of learned that, right? Because I've learned that too, just kind of researching this and learning this. If I didn't have this show, if I wasn't, talking to millions of people here on our show, a lot of people might not care about this stuff, but it's just kind of we're learning stuff as we go through this, right? But Feds around the world, central banks around the world, this is just kind of their main tool to bring down inflation. They have to do this because if they don't raise interest rates, inflation will stay high for much, much longer. This is just a proven tool that's been done for decades and decades and decades. So it's a temporary pain that we have to go through, and we're all going through it um, by raising interest rates. And central banks and governments all around the world are doing it. In fact, the U.S. was one of the last governments to do it, believe it or not. U.S. Fed actually got criticized a little bit. And remember, the Fed of the central bank, Jerome Powell, was actually a Republican. He was actually appointed to the Fed head by former President Donald Trump. He's actually a Republican. He's a known. I mean, he's out there as a Republican. It's not a secret. So he's not like Joe Biden's best friend or anything. Like he's not doing this to help Biden. But this is it's something that has to be done. So they're not doing this like punish the people or anything like that. But it's something that has to be done. So they have to raise interest rates temporarily, whether it's going to be over the course of the next year or two or longer. It has to be done because if they don't raise interest rates now, inflation would stay here long time. Now, I don't want to say permanently because we don't, you can't say anything would be here permanently, but it could stay here for years and years and years and years. Well, if you go back here, if you remember back in the day when they raised interest rates, like back in, when we had the 2000s recession and when they raised interest rates in the past, if you remember when interest rates were crazy, in the past, remember when home interest rates were in the teens and stuff. I mean, I actually bought my first home years ago. Okay, so my interest rate was much higher than it was today. So believe it or not. So, and you probably remember that I've actually seen some comments of people that say, yeah, when I bought my first home, I seen some comments of some people that say that they remember interest rates of homes in the 14%, 16% range. And now the average interest rate now is around for homes, I think it's getting near around 7%. Well, imagine if it was 17% or 16%. That's more than double. So believe it or not, interest rates could be and have been a lot worse in our lifetime. Maybe not mine. Well, I'm 41. Maybe. I mean, maybe at the beginning of my lifetime. But a lot of people remember interest rates a lot worse. And if they don't raise interest rates now, um, things will and could or would get a lot worse. So it's something that has to be done to bring inflation down. And I know it's unfortunate that it's another pain that the American people and really worldwide people have to bear to combat inflation. Remember, inflation's at 30 and 40-year highs pretty much everywhere around the world. Russia had to raise their interest rates from 8% to 20%. So they were already at 8%. Remember, our mortgage rates are at like around 6, maybe getting close to 7. They were already at 8%. They had to raise it to 20%. And that was at the beginning of the sanctions. I haven't really seen any headlines around it right now, but that was many months ago. So imagine if interest rates were at 20%, and they had to do that in one quick shot to to combat everything that was going on. So imagine if our Fed interest rate said, yeah, instead of raising interest rates by, a 1.5% that they're going to basically do here in the course of 2 months, we're going to go from 8% to 20%. I mean, it would be like the world was falling, right? Well, it's kind of what's happening over in Russia and Ukraine. Things are just literally just basically a war zone over there, literally and figuratively, and not in a good way. Like I said, for this war, there's no winners here, and the whole world is feeling the effects here. And Russia's not stopping. It's really a sad effects of a dictator there that wants to take over a country at no thoughts of stopping, at no cost of stopping, with thousands and thousands of people dying every day almost from both sides, and has no regard for lives at all, and just continues on and on after every single day. Like, at what point is it not worth it? It's really just a sad fact. It's really just a sad fact. And I mean, if you're Putin, you got to think like, what is your end game here? Like, what do you see as an end game here? Is it really just to save face that you didn't lose a war here? Like what does a victory seem like for you here? Like, it's it's really it's unbelievable here what's going on. But I mean, the longer this goes on, the longer it's going to help exacerbate inflation. I think a lot of us think that I mean, Biden says that inflation and these gas prices are due to Russia, 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 Russia. I personally don't believe that. I mean, you can let me know your thoughts here in the comments. I don't think everything is due to Russia. I mean, I have seen that, since Russia put their troops on the border, gas prices and oil prices have spiked tremendously. I do think that that is definitely a cause of it. We have seen food prices and stuff because grain can't get out. It is definitely a cause here, but inflation was going up before that, and that's just a cause of the recessionary cycle of the pandemic, the supply chains, and everything going on. And this is happening all around the world, and a lot of that is just from coming out of the recession that we were in from the pandemic, when we shut down the whole world and the whole country, and inflation trying to catch back up from the countries and the world being shut down when inflation was basically near zero, when gas prices plummeted, when the whole world was staying home, and then now it's people are going back to work, so the economy's heating up. I mean, we're at near 50-year lows of employment, so people are going back to work. Tax revenues are going crazy right now. The government has all this money coming in. That's that's the economy heating up. I mean, that's when inflation heats up. Okay, a lot of people don't realize that. Okay, but The problem is now is inflation is so high, gas prices are so high, food prices are so high that the people who were living on the cusp, which is a lot of people, are struggling so bad to pay for things that it's probably sending us back into a recession. Because unfortunately, that's just how the world is today. 50% of retirees go into retirement with no retirement money. They have Social Security. And if Social Security doesn't provide them enough, that's it. That's what they got. And when someone like Bernie Sanders comes around and has a plan that Social Security vets and says this will work for 75 years and we can pay out more benefits, why would we not want to go with a plan like that? Social Security, who's not partisan, they're not Democrats, they're not Republican, they've been around for since the start of it, and they're just employees. They're not picked based off their political party. They're not elected in there. They don't change every time there's a new regime or a new president. They're employees that have been working there for 20, 30 years, right? And they're accountants and stuff, and they do the math. And they do the math. They say, okay, it checks out. And if they say if this plan is going to work and it could raise benefits for people, and really these are benefits that people need to survive. We're not talking about like a tremendous amount of money. We're talking about enough money to like buy food and survive. Why would we not want to do something like that? I mean, you let me know your thoughts in the comments. Maybe I'm way off base, or maybe I'm right on base, and maybe people need this, especially with inflation right now. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'll keep you up to date here on this bill, on progress, and everything Congress is doing here on a daily basis. Make sure to subscribe down below here to our YouTube channel. It's completely free to do so. After you click the subscribe button down below, click the bell icon so you get notifications when we go live. That's every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't miss any new videos here on our YouTube channel. I will keep you up to date here with everything. You can click here to see my new video of what Mitch McConnell just said about stimulus checks. That was pretty shocking. If you haven't seen that, click that video next. Or you can click here to see the new agreement made by Joe Manchin and Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer on the next stimulus bill. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.